I'm not changing how I feel about diss songs for Drake. I'm not.
Oh my God. Wow.
So I think it's safe to assume that DJ Akademiks has finally reached the end of the 5 stages of grief. You know, with the whole Kendrick versus Drake beef, Ak was kind of stuck like in the beginning, you know, step 1, step 2, anger and denial. But in the past couple months, we've seen Akademiks, he's coming back to being reasonable, right? He's at the acceptance stage. I think even with this new take about the Drake lawsuit, he may even be past the acceptance stage. He's even gone as far as to go to a Kendrick Lamar GNX tour show. Hey y'all, I am a one-man show. I record, edit the video myself, create the thumbnail, everything. So hitting like and subscribe does help a bunch. Thanks so much. Back to the video. So there's a couple people that reported on this. We're gonna watch Flacco's video. Akademiks basically says this whole Drake lawsuit versus UMG / Kendrick Lamar, he flat out calls it stupid. I'll let Ak speak for himself here.
Like, I don't care what y'all niggas say. I think it's dumb as shit. It's a stupid ass lawsuit, bro. You know what I mean? Like, bro, like, I would have rather him sue Kendrick. Just sue Kendrick.
Well, the thing is, Drake, he's not suing Kendrick because then the optics look really bad. Right now, I see why Ak says this. Ak is saying this because the optics right now, it's as if you're still suing Kendrick, but he's not. Drake is suing UMG. There's this whole like collusion angle that Drake has. Like, yo, I was about to renegotiate on my deal with UMG and they purposely targeted me so they could lowball me, and Kendrick was involved in that and they were pushing Kendrick's records in an attempt to lower my number, basically to sign me to a deal for less money. They're trying to lower his value. So instead of signing Drake for, let's just use a round number, 500 million, they could sign him for 450 million. You know, businesses are gonna save money in any way they can. If UMG has to spend $2 million to push Kendrick's music, and in Kendrick's music, Kendrick is taking me down, and this lowers my streams, this lowers my number, UMG is gonna spend that 2 million to renegotiate with me for 50 million less. They've saved 48 million. These are not the exact details of the lawsuit. We're using round numbers and we're summarizing it, but this is Drake's whole angle. Akademiks is like, yo, that doesn't even matter because the optics to the hip hop fans and to the hip hop media is that you're suing Kendrick anyway. So you might as well have just sued Kendrick.
Like, bro, it's a stupid ass lawsuit. Like, this lawsuit to me is about what could be said in this song. I love diss songs.
Yeah.
I like when niggas say, I want to dig your mama up and piss on her, nigga, and bury her again. That's my type of diss songs.
Well, I'm not really into all that type of diss songs. I do love diss records as well. Some of my favorite diss records. My favorite diss record of all time is 300 Bars by Game. Amazing diss record. The whole like gossipy and this and that people, that's not really my type of diss. I've yet to hear it. I don't want to just rule it out completely, but I've yet to hear it in a way that's entertaining for me. But we all love, I mean, we all got a diss song in rap that we love, right? Imaginary Players by Jay-Z. You know, there are many diss songs.
I sit here and I listen to the most heinous songs in the world. I'm sorry, calling you a certified pedophile, not worse than Who I Smoke, not worse than any King Von song. I'm sorry, that's
Right.
the type of songs I like. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh yeah, I think those songs should stop. I'm not. The fuck you thinking?
Yeah. Yeah, and there is the whole issue that if Drake is successful in this lawsuit, are record labels then going to be more hesitant to allow their own artists, their artists on their label? Are they going to allow them or be as liberal with them dissing other rappers, knowing that there's a precedent, a legal precedent for a lawsuit in which they could lose? The answer is probably no. Record labels are probably going to be a lot more hesitant to let that happen.
No. Now, if we're only going on the element of, yo, should Drake still file a lawsuit, but make the point to say you value, like, don't tell me about the nigga calling you a pedophile. Tell me about how you're devalued in your negotiation. Like that, if you want to be transparent with that, be like, yo, they will offer me 500 million, now they offer me 200.
Yeah, and I've done a video on Drake's lawsuit. Yes, the lawsuit, when you read it, a lot of it was about Kendrick. Really, I'm getting the same vibe as Ak. I'm like, bro, you should have just sued Kendrick. Kendrick is mentioned so much in the lawsuit.
And I think they did that. I want to hear y'all fight that out. That's cool. I ain't got no problem with that. But I love diss songs. I love when niggas say the worst thing about a nigga. I like when a nigga say, yo, I want to kill your whole family. I want to see, I love when people be like, yo, I'm going to smoke you and your dog. That's what I like. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't know if I don't know. See, me, I don't know if I'm with that. So this is, again, y'all got to remember, this is DJ Akademiks. We got to remember where he come from, born in Chirac. We all know Akademiks loves that type of timing. He loves that. Me personally, I do think there's a line that shouldn't be crossed. And legally, there's a line. The First Amendment, people say free speech, but you can't incite violence in your speech. You can't defame others in your speech. And later in the video, I'm gonna pose a question to my audience. I know my audience, we mostly Kendrick heavy, but I think my audience is smart enough to entertain this question. I've asked it in a live stream, but I'm gonna let Akademiks cook a little bit more.
Sorry, these are what I like. I'm sorry. I told you, I think Kendrick should have performed Not Like Us 20 times. I've been in Toronto. What you talking about? I love this music. I love indictment music. That's my type of shit. So I'm not gonna change it. I'm not changing how I feel about diss songs for Drake. I'm not doing it.
I think this is a great thing that Ak says. I think we gotta go back and listen to this.
I love this music. I love indictment music. That's my type of shit. So I'm not gonna change it. I'm not changing how I feel about diss songs for Drake. I'm not.
Like I said with the 5 stages of grief. At first, when Akademiks was in a denial, anger stage, I don't know if he could articulate a point that's as, I guess, fair as that point was that he just said, you know, I'm not abandoning my love for diss records over Drake. I don't know if he could have done that when he was over here, you know, as Drake, you know, right after he lost the battle to Kendrick. But I think that's fine. And I think more media people actually should do this type of thing, because obviously Akademiks' audience is Drake heavy. Really, on YouTube, yo, it's so difficult to build an audience on YouTube that it doesn't make sense to go against your audience once you have it. This is why you don't see people do it often. Me personally, I don't want to call myself a crash out. We are the top ops, but I just feel like a burning desire to say what I need to say my truth. At first, I didn't get the feeling that Akademiks was saying his truth in the whole Kendrick and Drake beef. I think he really liked a lot of those Kendrick records, but I think he wanted to maintain a relationship with Drake. This take that he says though, like, yo, I like diss records and just that general, you know, competitive spirit of hip hop, and I'm not gonna abandon that for my like of Drake. I think that is a great point. And that's a point that's not going to sit well with a lot of his audience. But I think it's an important point to make regardless. And you don't see people do that often. You don't see people go against what their general audience thinks, because why would you? Think about it. If y'all got a YouTube channel, you spent 4 years building it up. You got 50K subscribers, you know, built on certain topics, but you just differ from your audience on a certain topic. When you release the video where you're kind of challenging your audience or you're going against it, you're going to lose subscribers. You're going to get dislikes. It doesn't help you. So to see someone do it, you know, other than me, it is a bit refreshing.
Or how iHeartMedia colluded to play the song on the radio more. We're not getting those updates. And that's where Akademiks' frustration lies. If it's about UMG, then make it about UMG. Tell us.
Yeah, the suit is about defamation though, right? It is a defamation suit, right? But yeah, there is this overlying condition of, yo, there was collusion happening with UMG trying to lowball me on numbers.
He has some valid points, but his valid points are not going to be what the fans are going to champion. Respectfully, if Drake lost out on 200 million, it's none of our business. He's not telling us how much he raps about it, but we're not in his contract negotiations.
Yeah, nor should the fans care. I don't understand why any fan base, whether it's Kendrick's, Drake's, Little, whoever, there is no reason for you to care about numbers. The only time it really makes sense for a fan base to care about numbers is if you're championing like an underground rapper, someone who's super underground, super independent. You saw them come up, you know, from a small, you know, artist, and they just got their first Billboard placement. They just got a big song that went viral. That's when it makes sense to very briefly be like, oh yeah, he got the number 60 song on Billboard. Oh yeah, he went platinum with this record. That's the only time it makes sense for me. Like, for example, when Tyler, the Creator, dropped Yonkers, all of us who knew Tyler and been watching Tyler, the Creator, all the way up to that point, Yonkers was like a moment for all of us, right? It charted, it went viral. It really got him on national TV. Was Yonkers out when Tyler went on Jimmy Fallon? I think, yeah, Yonkers had to have been out. That was like 2011. That was like a moment for all of us. It's almost like we all succeeded in a way. That's like the only time to me where it makes sense. Drake's getting that this much million, this dude sold that much million. Who cares?
That's for him to fight about. That's not for fans to rally around.
Facts.
No matter if he wins or loses, he's not going to change the outcome of the battle. Why the fuck do we care? I don't care.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yep. Whether he wins or loses, he's not going to change the outcome of the battle. That's facts. Now, if Drake can get 200 million out of this, sure, cool. That's great. But what Ak is saying is like, that's not our 200 million. So who cares? Right? I'm actually surprised to hear this point from Ak because he was doing some, he was doing some heavy Drake glazing. You know what I mean? So it's good to see him like come back to his senses a little more.
What I care about is that when is rapping versus each other, they can say I wish your mama died. I wish I could kill you and your grand. Yes, I like that type of music. If you don't like it, sorry. Okay, but
yeah, I wouldn't champion that type of music. And there is this part, right? And this is the part I said I was going to ask y'all. So there is a line to free speech, right? It's not just, oh, it's a free First Amendment. It's a free country. We can say whatever we want. No, if you think that, then you have not read the First Amendment. You're just saying it. You haven't read it because there is a line to free speech, right? To Akademiks' points, I don't want to hear a diss record where guys are rapping about, oh, we're going to do this to you. We're going to do that. We wish you could do this. We wish you could do that. Hey, yo, spin the block. Because that's anti-free speech. That's anti-First Amendment. You can't incite violence, right? And to me, that's not even like why I like diss records. I don't like diss records because guys are talking about fighting each other. If y'all are so tough, why don't y'all just go and fight? Why is y'all on a record talking about it, right? Put some gloves on, put some headgear on, and have you a little controlled friendly fade, right? Am I inciting violence by saying that? Oh, snap. But if you was really this tough, you would just go do it. You wouldn't be rapping about it. So like, again, it's your preference. Ak likes that type of stuff. To me, it's dumb. If you were so tough and so gangster like you pretending to be on records, just go do it. Just go do it, right? But yeah, there is a line. And I think some of that stuff does kind of blur that line. I always compare diss records and hip hop and how exclusive it is to hip hop. I always compare it to fighting and hockey. Hip hop is the only music genre really where diss records are a thing. You don't see country artists going back and forth with each other on records. I mean, they may have issues with each other. They might throw shade in interviews. They might even just flat out not like each other and the public knows it. But as far as getting on records and making specific records, going at the person they don't like, that doesn't happen. You don't see it in any other genre really except hip hop. And maybe hip hop adjacent genres, right? It's like fighting in hockey. Hockey's like the only sport where you could take the gloves off and the referees will allow it. Like, all right, we gonna give this time. They gonna give them a little 15, 20 seconds. Then we gonna get back to the game. But let's say someone in a hockey fight got seriously injured because a guy, instead of throwing fists, he took off his skates and slashed a guy, got him in the neck. Guy almost bled to death. Should then the guy who got hit when he was fighting in hockey, he was participating in this ceremony, should the guy be able to sue the guy that hit him with his skate? Should he be able to sue? Mind you, if he sues, this may permanently stamp out all of fighting in hockey. It may not exist anymore. And it's like a cultural thing to hockey. You guys don't realize it yet. I'm paralleling this analogy with diss records and hip hop. The guy took off his skates and hit him. Got sued for assault. Should the guy who got hit be able to sue the guy who hit him? It's clearly assault, right? I mean, according to the law, he may have a case for assault. I'm paralleling this with diss records and hip hop. If a guy does something that's clearly illegal, like taking off your skate and hitting someone with it, blunt force weapon, deadly weapon. The bottom of ice skates, it got it's sharp. So if a guy goes on a record and says something that's not protected by the First Amendment, which defamation is not protected by the First Amendment, should the guy who was affected by it then be able to sue? I mean, it's just a question. We want to protect this thing we have in hip hop with the diss records. At what point does it become logical and proper to be able to sue? Should you just be able to get on a diss record and say something that you know is false and that you know is going to hurt somebody, but you just want to say it anyways? Because in real life, you cannot do that. You can't say something you know is false about somebody, and if it affects them Like, that's against the law. It's called defamation. So it's just a question. The thing I like about diss records is just the competition. Like, a lot of my favorite diss records, they don't have like super messy stuff in them. Like, some of them do, but then a lot of them don't. You know, critique the bars, you know, Jay-Z on a takeover. Oh, you went from Nasty Nas to Esco's trash, had a spark when you started, now you just garbage. You fell from top 10, not mentioned at all. Your Bodyguard's Gucci Wally verse was better than yours. Your Eminem destroyed you on your old song. That's from Ether. That's what I like. So I think at a certain point, yes, I think that is allowable. But I think to the point what Akademiks is talking about, that's when it becomes gray area for me. I think if you say something in a diss record like, yo, we should kill your grandma, and then the grandma gets killed, yeah, I think the affected party should sue you. I think you should go to jail. Forget how it affects hip hop. Someone lost their life. And I do believe that if you defame someone in a record, remember what defamation is. You say something that you know is false, and you damage that person's career or life or whatever, you just like in real life, you will be held accountable for it. You should be held accountable for it. So yeah, anyway, what do y'all think? Just food for thought. Just food for thought. If that question is too hard, just answer the hockey question. If me and you get down in a hockey fight, like we participate in this ceremony together, we take our helmet off and we start fighting in hockey. But then I take my hockey skate off and I get you across the face, across the neck. Should you be able to sue me for assault? Should you? You can, but should you? Think about how you're going to affect hockey going forward, how you might affect hockey going forward. Should you? Let me know in the comments. Top5rapwebsite.com. Peace.